Hey, Brandon here, host of the Devy Deep Dive podcast and creator of the Devy Dashboard. Welcome to my channel and thanks for tuning in. Got another exciting rookie profile film here. Today we're going to talk about Ohio State wide receiver Garrett Wilson. So if you enjoy this film and you've seen my others, please hit that subscribe button. I'm going to have a ton of these films coming out, the rookie profile films specifically, as we march to the NFL draft. Shortly thereafter, I'll be doing all sorts of mock draft shows and then getting really into the Devy content and C2C content late spring or early summer, getting you ready for the 2022 season. So hit that subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter at Devy Deep Dive. And of course, if you want information on my Devy Dashboard, which is the ultimate Devy and C2C resource, you can hit me up via email in the show notes below. And leave a comment too. Let me know what you think of the film. Let me know of future guys you'd like to see films on. So let's get right to it, man. Let's talk about Mr. Garrett Wilson, all right? So he is been a productive player for 3 years at Ohio State. He was a 5-star prospect out of Lake Travis High School. He was a multi-sport athlete in high school as well, which is always a good thing. Just shows you the athleticism of players when they have those multi-sport, whether it's basketball, track, whatever. So Garrett Wilson through and through is an athlete, and you're going to see that on his film. I'm excited too in the film room because Corey Piera, again, one of my favorite, film breakdown guys. He will be in the film room here shortly. But Garrett Wilson is a junior, early declare, which is always a good thing. So let's take a look at his production. Again, like I said, 2019, he got on campus. As we know, Ohio State is wide receiver U. They always have solid wide receivers. So he was able to carve out a role even as a freshman on the field, which is always a great sign. 2020, again, an increase of targets, increase of stats, even with the COVID year. And then in 2021, he had a very productive season this year, 70 receptions, 1,058 yards, averaging 15 yards a catch, and then he had 12 TDs. So, even with JSN emerging, even with Olave returning for his senior year, Garrett Wilson produced on the field, so that is certainly a good thing. So his 2021 market share, he had 18.9% of the receiving yards, the targets rather, he was 20%, offensive yards 14.5%, and touchdowns 18.5%. So, of course, when you're in a wide receiver room as deep as Ohio State, those numbers are pretty respectable. Now, some good PFF career stats, completion percentage 70%. So this guy's got some sticky hands, which is great, and we're going to see that on the film here in a minute. His average depth of target was 12.3. So again, that shows you he's got the explosive and vertical ability in his game, which is nice. His yak per reception was 5.2. Not great. I don't think yak, we're going to see here in his film, is probably one of his great strengths. He's just going to be a guy who's going to get open all over the field, short, intermediate, and vertical. But with the ball in his hands, I don't think it's one of his strengths to get a lot of yak yards. That doesn't mean he's not good at it. It's just not something he's elite at. His snaps, from the slot and out wide, primarily it was interesting. In 2019 and 2021, he primarily played outside, but in 2020, he played primarily in the slot. 73% of his snaps in his junior year or sophomore season was in the slot. So he has got some versatility to him. That is always a good thing, being able to be placed all over the field on an NFL roster. All right. From an analytical standpoint, he career dominator. He was a 28.07. A career weighted dominator was 25. So respectable numbers, especially with a crowded wide receiver room. They are very respectable numbers given how many guys produce on this offense. So his yards per team pass attempt, this is his average over 3 years, is 2.13. Again, good number. Anything over 2 is solid. Projected 40 time is 4.45. Then I'm going to be really interested to see what his 40 time is, because I don't believe he's the fastest guy in the world. I mean, he certainly can get vertical and create space for himself, but he's not a burner either. So his height-adjusted speed score is 97.08, which is pretty solid. Anything really kind of over 95 is above average. All right, his BMI 26.2. I know a lot of people don't get hung up on BMI. I don't either, but again, play strength is something and physicality is something in wide receivers that I look for. A little bit on the light side, but, certainly he makes up for it with his space creation and his route running. All right, so his strengths, right? He's got early production. That's always a good thing. A guy who can come on as a freshman, especially in a crowded wide receiver room, and who can produce, that is always a good thing. It tells you the kid's got some skill, and the coaches believe in him early on in his career. He's an elite space creator. I truly believe that Garrett Wilson is the best route runner, in my eyes, in this class. All right. He's got vertical 50-50 ability. All right. So again, I think this kid can win all over the field. He can beat you on short curl routes, on intermediate slants, and then he can beat you deep on 9 routes, post routes, corner routes, deep down the field. And I like his 50-50 ability. When he goes up, I mean, he's not the most physical guy in the world, but physicality at the catch point, I think he's respectable given his size, and he will go up and come down with that ball, and you're going to see that too on his film. Now, as far as weaknesses, I like to point out some weaknesses because it's not all rainbows and butterflies, right? All the time when we look at these players, we try and have to pick apart their game a little bit. The two things that really, aren't really major concerns for me, but weaknesses that I'm going to at least talk about is, his lack of elite speed, which isn't a big issue for me for a wide receiver, because all it's about for me is space creation and getting open and having sticky hands and getting the ball and moving forward with it, right? And his play strength. Now, we just talked about his 50-50. I think he's really good with the play strength at the 50-50 ball. I think it's good. I'd like to see a little bit more physicality with him running the ball in yak situations, and we're going to see that in his film here shortly. So, yeah, man, there's a lot to like about Garrett Wilson. I'm sure you watching this, he's probably in your top 1, 2, or 3. He's my number 2 receiver behind Jamison Williams right now. But I like what I see with Garrett Wilson. So let's join Corey and go over what we see here on the field. And it's great too, because I got a ton of all 22 film here. So we're going to be able to get that great bird's eye view of really what he can do on the field. All right, welcome to the film room. And again, I am joined by one of my favorite Devy analysts out there in the Devy space, Mr. Corey Pierre. He is a dashboard content creator and one of my favorite guys. Corey, how are you today?
I'm good, man. It's cool -35 here in Canada right now. I've been shoveling snow for the past week, and I'm ready to just sit down and look at some film with one of my favorite guys in the Devy space as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, we got a good one for you today, man. We're going to talk about Garrett Wilson. And we were talking kind of right before we went on record here of that we both agree that he's the best route runner in the class. And we're going to see that. And we got a treat here. We got all 22 film. So let's get right into it. Again, we're going to just see a guy who has fluidity, suddenness to his game, variety. He, manipulates defenders. He's a space creator, and that is what is required to make it in the NFL first and foremost. So again, we're going to go through all 22 film here. Again, and then the breakaway separation is really nice too. I mean, I think he's scheduled to be like a run of 4.42. I've got, looking at 40 times anywhere between 4.4 and 4.5, or 4.45. But I like the separation there. That is some really good acceleration.
And the burst away. I mean, I have it written down here too, is the speed variance in his routes. This was something I saw with Devontae Smith last year, and a lot of people were saying that he was the best route runner in the class as well. But it's the speed variance that he does in his routes. He's able to decelerate and burst quickly out of whatever he's doing. So he's great at that.
Yeah, so this play here is great. I mean, again, it's all about defensive manipulation, right? See, the head nod, right? He didn't make the catch, but it's still, we're not worried about the catch. It wasn't a good pass. But again, nonetheless, the twitchiness and the suddenness of that is just exceptional.
He's got the DB just reeling there. I mean, he sells the inside slant right away, and he's looking back at the quarterback. It's everything that he does along the stem of the route that is just like he's selling it perfectly. Mature.
Exactly. Yeah, very mature. He's a technician. That's what I like to call him. And when you watch other receivers, you can see the difference clearly when you watch this guy play.
Yeah. So, I mean, we just watched Sky Moore, and everything was one speed, one way to run the route, everything like that. And you can see it right away with this guy, just everything he does.
Yeah. So again, I'd like to look at all the nuances, right? The little jab there, the head bob, I think he was like going to a post pattern maybe, and then just cuts it outside. I mean, look at the guy stumbling away and, good ball tracking and boop, 2 feet. Pro move.
He looks back at the quarterback too during the stem of that route when he's trying to run that post. I mean, it's everything that he does. Yeah.
So that was I put this in here because it was all part of the all 22 film I cut up. But again, look, the jab step enough to get that guy, gave him a ton of clearance. I mean, there's nothing like special about this, but nonetheless, you got him off platform. And if you can get a DB off platform every time you run a route, I think that's a positive. I mean, you're working on every route, even with off coverage like that. Again, setting them up possibly for a move down later in the game. But that's just, you see, now I like this again. He wasn't part of this, but again, it's just showing the fluidity, his footwork, his suddenness.
Yeah, he's almost going to sell that he's going to go deep here. And then the hard cut back.
Yeah. And then there's the space, right? And this kid's got it.
This was actually one of his favorite routes. I love how he runs this deep out here where he sells the post and then comes back. And he's good at coming back to the ball too. I mean, you'll see on a lot of those deep those crosses, you'll notice him, 2 yards off of like the 30 or something like that, and he works his way back to the ball. He creates an easy target for himself.
Yeah. So there wasn't anything special about this, but again, I just love the fluidness of the way he runs. He shifts gears. It seems his arms kind of are up and in the air or whatever. But again, I think he's just such a smooth. He doesn't he doesn't deaccelerate when he moves. Now this move here, this is the final clip of it's going to lead us into ball hands and skills, but this is just a nasty separation. Right here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what he's going to excel at the NFL in this. I mean, that jab step was tremendous. And then again, I love the ball skills. Then the 2 feet, boom, getting ready for the NFL, holds on to the ball. I thought that was a really exceptional play.
And even keeps his balance through contact. We like to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Short area quickness is what the name of the game is.
Yeah.
So ball skills and hands, I think he's pretty good. I mean, he's got I think it's a 68% catch rate this year. I do show a couple drops in here, but nonetheless, again, showing the great separation and the body control, the adjustment goes up, extends the arms.
No, and if you watched Wilson before this year too, they essentially used him in this role. It was all deep shots. Like he wasn't playing as much as he was now, but it was all jump balls and he was just showing off these hands and this leaping ability. He's got, I wouldn't be surprised if he jumps close to 40 inches, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I thought that was just again, he's, got press coverage, good, good cutback, creates enough separation, uses his body, goes down and get the ball, good body control, good ball skills. It's a really nice adjustment on this particular play.
Yeah, and uses his body to shield away from the defender, which is one thing I like too. You see him kind of turn his back towards the defender there as he's making the catch. So even though he doesn't have a big one, he's able to box a guy out. So I like to see that.
Yeah, like this nasty move he puts on this DB too. Boom, this guy. Whoops.
Yeah,
but nonetheless, he goes up, extends the arms.
It's amazing how he can have the speed to sell an outside move and still be able to get back inside, like completely confusing the defender on that route. He's got good athletic abilities.
And just showing the athleticism, the body control, decent route too. Got this guy to turn around and take a look at the whole thing here. I think he did a little stutter step there. It's really hard to see to get this guy just to shuffle his feet like boom, boom right there. Yeah. And then he turns.
Yeah, but you see that so much with him where he takes inside leverage, gives the defender outside leverage, and is still able to find a way to get outside. I mean,
get outside, crafty. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't make the grab here, but I liked how he got rid of the contact again. I don't know if I think he came back to help I don't think he was the primary read on that. I think the pocket broke down. The quarterback had to scramble. He dropped the ball. But I like how Wilson came back to his quarterback, right? Comes back to the quarterback. He doesn't make the catch, but nonetheless, I like the ability, the awareness of him of, coming back and helping out his quarterback. These were just a couple drops and, just including these, it's not like anyone's concerned about him dropping balls, but nonetheless, he did have, some concentration drops.
Yeah, and the one note I had was sometimes late hands, and which is surprising sometimes, but they're not a con to me. It's not something that's an issue for him. I mean, a lot of the time people are telling you don't worry about drops. This is especially that case. Don't worry about the drops with Wilson.
All right. Again, here's just another, behind the errant ball. Again, he just has to go up and body. Like how he comes down with the ball and then immediately accelerates upfield, showing that good body control, man. So
that's one of the tougher catches.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's one of the tougher catches that people don't realize. Just an easy streak across the field, and the quarterback almost a lot of the time puts it a little bit too far behind you, and you got to adjust on those catches. And he does a good job there.
Yeah. So let's take a look at his yak and speed. Again, I think he's probably projected from what my research is like a 4.4, something like that. So that's about where I think he's going to go in. But from a yak standpoint, I like to see how he finishes these runs again with a little bit of physicality too.
Yeah.
But again, just looking at his ability to stretch and come back to the ball, really good footwork there. So I think he's got some yak ability. I'd like to have seen him finish that run and put a lick on someone, but can't have it all, I guess.
And like we were talking before about how he was more used in a jump ball role when he was a little bit younger in his career. A lot of people wanted to see more yak from him, and I think he answered some questions this year. I think there's still a little bit more to be developed there. I don't think he's like super elusive.
No, when he gets the ball in his hands. would agree. I would agree with that. Like here, I mean, he just doesn't. I don't see him shedding a ton of No,
contact. He's not stringing together a bunch of moves or anything to kind of get a contact like you see some flashier guys do. But. I
think he's got the vertical speed, but I think this isn't a game that I think he's going to excel at. Like this wide receiver screen stuff, I'm not sure that this is his bread and butter in the NFL. I mean, I think he could develop to be a better player, but why is he not running down the sideline or juking this guy? And again, he just kind of doesn't do much. Right? I'd like to see a more exciting, cutter and like stuff like that, but then accelerate down the field and get but I didn't see a lot of big plays with Yak, getting these wide receiver screens, these short area passes. I mean, here's one he, again, just kind of showing his ability with the ball in his hand, but his vertical ability.
Yeah, he's got that.
We don't have to worry about that. He's going to be a vertical threat in the NFL without a doubt. Again, he's just dusting guys, some press coverage here. I mean, this is just a post go route or whatever you want to call it, but nonetheless, I mean, you're not going to catch him in the open field. So he's got that vertical speed that obviously the NFL loves because he's going to be a first round pick in the draft. So again, I love physicality with wide receivers. I think it means something. So I'd like to just kind of throw some clips in here showing some athleticism, some toughness. It's kind of like. I think he's got to lower his pads a little bit. He's going to leave himself open to some wicked licks if he doesn't, get down and try and.
And he does that thing. He does that thing you hate there, where you spin on contact.
Yeah, well, I tell you right, that's where you're going to get your bell rung if you just, don't get down and you spin around like that. Now that's where one of these NFL linebackers are going to look to rip you off.
I mean, if there was one con to even say about Wilson, and like there's not many, okay, but it would maybe be his play strength. You don't see him breaking a ton of tackles out there. You don't see. I mean, he'll maybe make one guy miss or break a tackle here, but it's not his bread and butter. But look at his size. It's not something you expect from him. If you're getting Garrett Wilson, you're not putting him in situations where he's having to break a lot of tackles. I don't think
that's exactly right. So I think you're absolutely right. And for a lot of people that probably like Treylon Burks a lot better because they like that physicality,
right?
And they're getting the best of both worlds. He's got speed, he's got the size, physicality, and all that. But I completely agree with you. Again, I just like the athleticism on this play. Just throwing it in here as we finish up this film grind. Good route. Makes a nice adjustment on the ball, makes the catch. But I agree with you, Corey. I don't think like the yak is what like that particular play, right?
Yeah,
it would be nice to see. Not only that, but just to be able to shed the like you said, the play strength. He goes down really, really quick. So, but nonetheless, like you said, he can get bigger, he can get stronger, and guys still develop. And we have to take that into consideration. So, I got Wilson number 2 behind Jameson Williams in my ranks on the Devy dashboard. I know you obviously have ranks on the dashboard too. Where do you have him ranked in your wide receiver rookie ranks?
I've got him as 2 as well, but I mean, this is kind of a tier thing for me because it's what you want, really. Do you want a guy that's more polished coming in? You need a guy who can maybe step on the field right away and contribute for you, or do you have some time to work with some physical tools like Burks? So I've got these guys both in a similar tier to 1A, 1B for me. I wouldn't be surprised if one ended up better than the other, but I'm really enamored with Wilson. He's a polished prospect already for where he's at, and I think he's going to come into the NFL ready to play already.
Yeah, I agree with you. When going back to like Justin Jefferson, and I'm not comparing that Garrett Wilson's going to have a Justin Jefferson type freshman or rookie season, but I had those similar concerns about his yak ability and his play strength, and we all know how that turned out. So it's not a big, really a big concern, but nonetheless, I think you're absolutely right. I think you hit it right on the head. These guys are at the top of the list, and I'm really excited to see where they land. Hoping my Philadelphia Eagles might grab one would be nice. But nonetheless, Corey, thank you for always jumping in the film room, man. Always enjoy grinding film with you. And I'm sure everyone on this YouTube channel will see you again soon.
I appreciate you having me, Brandon.
All right. Thanks, man. All right, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that film grind and it gave you a really good overview of Garrett Wilson's game. Now, look, I know he's one of the top receivers, so there's probably a lot of people, that are like, yeah, I've seen it for a long time. That's great. But maybe you're one of these people that haven't really looked at the nuances of his game, his route running, his hands, his, yak ability and stuff. So I hope you enjoyed that. So let's talk about his draft capital. I mean, right now, this kid is being drafted 1-2 off the board. In NFL mockdraftdatabase.com, as you see here. So he's not really getting out, it looks like, out of the top half of the first round, which is certainly understandable given the fact that this kid is an elite route runner and a space creator. So a lot of mocks see him going to Cleveland. So, I'm one of these guys that say landing spots matter, but we'll have to see. Nonetheless, landing spots, that's a discussion for another day. But as far as his draft capital, he is going to get early day one capital, which is always very solid for a wide receiver. So his dynasty projection for me, I mean, I think year one, I think he can potentially make an impact. I'm not sure he's going to have that Jamar Chase impact or that Justin Jefferson year one impact. I think we've all been very spoiled with those two particular players. I don't see him being an elite guy like that. And again, that's going to depend on landing spot and who the hell's throwing him the ball as well. But I think he has, the potential to be a late, like a back-end wide receiver 3 year one. Again, it's going to depend on where he goes and what kind of quarterback and offensive system he finds himself in after the draft. But nonetheless, I think that, he has got alpha material to be a 1A, 1B type receiver on an NFL roster. Again, given if he lands in the right spot, he could potentially be the alpha. But I kind of think my heart tells me he's going to be more of a wide receiver 2 on a team, not the main guy. But I think it's very close. I think it can go either way. Either way, this kid is going to get the draft capital. He's going to be a high draft pick in all of your upcoming rookie, round one mock or drafts coming up here shortly. Now, as far as a pro comp, just watching the way he runs and he creates space, it reminds me of Jerry Jeudy. He's very similar in size. I mean, Jerry Jeudy came out a couple years ago and everybody was like kind of thinking that he was one of the best kind of space creators in that particular class. He's found himself in Denver, which isn't a great situation given the fact that their quarterback situation has not been solidified. But nonetheless, from a pro comp standpoint, he kind of reminds me of a Jerry Jeudy, very fluid, very twitchy, can change directions very quickly. And, the body size is kind of the same thing. Jerry Jeudy, 6'1", 193, so it's about the same probably BMI. Personally, I don't think we've seen the best yet of Jerry Jeudy. Another guy that kind of reminds me of him is Stephon Diggs up in Buffalo. Again, a guy who's not the biggest guy. I mean, he's also 6 foot, about 190, but again, a very twitchy, defined route runner, a nuanced technician when it comes to route running to create space for himself. So those are my two pro comps for Garrett Wilson. And let's face it, man, if he even has the floor of a Stephon Diggs, I mean, I think we're all going to be happy, but he's probably going to have a career path, I'm thinking, similar maybe to Jerry Jeudy. But again, it all depends on landing spot. Landing spots matter. So as much as some people say it doesn't, I'm one of the guys that says it does. So, all right, man, that is my show for this, for Garrett Wilson. Super excited about him. I think he is going to be, one of the first guys off the board in your upcoming rookie drafts, especially given the fact that everyone might be fading quarterbacks this year, given the lack of elite talent at that position, as well as the running back. So I could see him being the top 5 pick in your rookie draft, so be prepared for that. So again, thanks for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. I'm going to have all sorts of great videos coming your way, man. So help me build the channel. Stick around, hit the notification button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll talk to you soon.